All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is October 8th, 2018, and the title of tonight's webinar is Trading with Viper Tools. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Okay, we're going to get started here. Wow, we got a good group in here tonight. Good. Everybody's doing great. Yeah, people still clicking in. All right, let's go ahead and get started then. I will go ahead and get to our chart set up. Now, does everybody, even if you don't actually use this little webinar template that we make available on our website, does everybody still see it in their mind's eye so that they can know which way to go for that trade? Because if you do and you use the Viper tools to take it, you'll actually find out you're gonna make a lot more money. You know, because the Viper tools are there for what reason? Well, they're there so that we can all make money. You know, if I was to actually start teaching, to give an example on how to do time charts or some of the indicators that are out there, I'd probably be lost and just have to go in, you know, and listen to somebody else that's an expert on that type of thing, because that's the way they trade. But the way we trade is we like the mid-band trade setups. We like the phantom setups, which are one of my favorites. And we like the little box breaks. And we like the opening bell type trades too, right? So basically what you want to do each and every day that you get up, you know, is you've got to diagnose. You know, for instance, if you got up at midnight last night or so on gold, what trade would you be looking for? Would you be looking for a long trade with this setup, or would you be looking for short? And the answer obviously is short, right? So if you draw on your charts, you're going to notice that you're going to get some really, really good trades. Let me just draw a line like right here. I'm going to reset this line. I always leave this thing in navy, and I need to have it more in a white with this black background here. Okay, now this is pretty much telling me, looking at this chart, see, we've got resistance all over the place, and right here is pretty prominent, right? Like so. So it could still even hit its head and roll over even if it came back up in here, right? But we are looking for only shorts, okay? And we can use our Viper tools to actually take the trade. Now, we like retrace trades. You know, you don't really want to get in the habit of taking breakout trades as much, because they're not as healthy for your account. You wait for that thrust and that retrace. Now, this is already thrust, so you're waiting for a retrace, right? I mean, you can clearly see if you got up at midnight, this is already thrust down. So you're waiting for a little retrace, aren't you? Wouldn't you think that would be the smart thing to do? And over here on the oil chart, we're looking also, we've got a high here, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. So that's pretty much a trend to the downside, and our power meters agree with that. And so what are we looking for on that one? Well, we draw our same line, and we're actually looking for a thrust and a retrace. Now, can we take a thrust on this? And the answer is yes, as long as you can get a little consolidation patch, or at least qualify for the minimum criteria that we like to go for. Sorry about that. Got the wrong one there. There we go. Everybody see that? That's what you're actually looking for on these trades. Always wait for those thrusts. If you're going to trade, you know, where it just breaks down, then make sure you got a little consolidation patch so you've got a tight stop on it. Okay, now let's look at the actual charts and see where we're at on them and see if we can use our Viper tools to figure this out. Now, by the way, this is one of my favorite Viper tools that I like to use myself because it kind of takes all those trees away from the forest so you can see the individual trees. You're not just looking at a huge forest. You're looking at the individual part of that chart. You don't see prices. You don't see, well, anything. There's no colors on here or anything, right? So it makes it where you can really see pretty much what's going on. Okay. Now let's go to the chart though with our indicators and our Viper tools, because we're going to want to take a trade, right? Okay, let's see here. Now, if you were looking at this right now, basically what it's done so far, it hasn't taken out the low, but it also hadn't taken out the high. And if you look over here, it would actually take taking this out to ever start heading back up, right? Because that's your swing, thrust, retrace, thrust. That's your swing on the left. So if we were going to head up, we would want it to do something like this. You know, we might be able to box it in at the mid-band, but when it's going to really become a long trade is when it breaks up above here, pulls back and kisses, and then heads back up. Or we're looking for, what have we checked so far? Let me get this chart a little bit bigger because I want to show you something that'll, I think, pretty much open your eyes to what you see in trading. Notice how if you draw a line on your chart, let's go ahead and just draw a regular line, but I'm going to go ahead and change it back to our good color here real quick. And we'll get rid of this one. We don't really need it. All right. What I like to do personally is I like to look at these little individual swings and see where they've been over here to the left. Okay, so that way I know which one they're going to check next. And, you know, you don't always, unfortunately, get them in the exact sequence, but you can kind of tell. Let me show you. We'll draw a line here. And you can see they check this little consolidation patch right here. Okay. Then they've got another one right here, like so. And it looks like they checked it, but they really kind of double checked it. And they haven't really checked this one here just yet, but they are checking it. Everybody see that? Okay. So when you use our tools, you can get ready to take this trade, you know, based on what you're seeing on the chart. Like for instance, if you see that this is a downtrend, then if you're going to use Object Trader, you want to make sure that you turn off those longs. You know, that way you don't accidentally get sucked into a trade that, well, frankly, will go against you, or a fake out breakout. You know, for instance, if you boxed it in right here, what if it just barely bipped up above my line here and then pulled back? Well, this is still a short, because if you look at lightning over here, you can clearly see that you've got a good sized downtrend. See a huge downtrend on gold. Okay, and even if you redrew it, I'll redraw it more like I see it with my eyes. I see it like this. I see a thrust, and I see a retrace, and I see another thrust. Okay, and by seeing that, that tells me, by looking at this chart right here, that I wouldn't even be entertaining longs at all until it took out that swing. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our tools on and see if we can possibly make some coin. Go ahead and put on Object Trader. I like to do replay on my webinars that I do, because, you know, if you're in the room, you've heard the trades. You know, we call great trades. There's not a question about that. All right, so we'll put Object Trader on the chart. And what is our minimum criteria? Anybody, for taking a trade that's already thrust? Minimum criteria. See if anybody gets it. What's the minimum criteria for a short? Somebody says mid-band. Not necessarily. You won't always get mid-band. Break and close below stealth and line 6 or line 2. Now, Brian, basically, let's see. We have a stealth right here. See it? Right here. It has closed above it. And it has closed above line 2. So that does meet our criteria for a short, doesn't it? And the background, absolutely, Raymond, on your question. Now, keep in mind, though, that we get into some trades that, for instance, we look for a low, a high, a higher low, and then if we get a higher high, like above here, we'd probably be looking for a consolidation around mid-band and take a long up to phantom, okay? But if we don't, then naturally we're looking for short. So this is what we call a minimum criteria trade, and if it comes all the way up to mid-band, like so, this would be more of the type of retracement that you'd look for a mid-band type trade. But keep in mind that you're going to miss out on some really good trades if you don't use this minimum criteria, okay? Because the minimum criteria will make a big difference in, you know, how much money you can make trading. Because when they drop, to give an example, if you missed it, you know, there's a phantom trade right up here. And I mean, if you missed that thing, it just dropped like a stone, didn't it? Let's see, sometimes it's tough to see background colors to the current trading, if you will, Lewis. You mean, well, now keep in mind that, you know, basically, you're going to always be looking for a stair-stepping type of an action, whether you're going up or down. Let me see if I've got my little chart that I sometimes use. Bear with me just one second. Yeah, I do. Okay, what you're looking for, Lewis, on your question, you know, is just to give an example. Let's say that this had been in some kind of a downtrend and it retraced and it rolled over and you got this higher low here. Well, more than likely, this is probably mid-band right in this area right here. So could you actually take this trade, you know, for instance, if it was to break a trend line, to give an example, or what if it just busted this top here and came back and kissed support? See how it busted this top, comes back and kissed support? Could you take it there? And the answer is yes. Now, you do have lightning 1 and lightning 2 and lightning 3 on your charts. Now, to me, lightning 3 is one of the most important because it shows you the overall trend. Remember when we were looking at oil, to give an example? See, here's oil right here. See your lightning 3, your lightning 3, your lightning 3, your lightning 3. Didn't take out the high, rolled over. You're looking for a break and a retrace and a roll, right? Just the way we teach it. Okay, so one thing you want to get in the habit of, there is a way to see on a chart when a trend changes, though, okay? But as a rule, our trend is not going to change until you get, you know, till you go from a red background to at least this color right here, which is kind of a lighter rose color. How do you know it's lightning 2, Raymond, on your question? I'll show you. Let me just show you on, let's see, I'll do it on gold. Let me just show it to you on gold here. Bear with me a second. Yeah, here's gold. All right, if you were to draw lightning 2 on this chart, you would hold your shift key down and left click your mouse, and there is actually lightning 2 right there. Now let me get rid of lightning 3 so you can actually see it. Okay, that's lightning 2 right there. Okay, now lightning 2 simply has to have 2 bars up or 2 bars down and get a higher low, you know, to actually break and change the lightning, or vice versa on the other side. Okay, so lightning 2, to give an example, if you were looking at this chart right here, right now, where is your established high on the left? Anybody? I'll bring the line down to it, and you tell me when you see it and tell me to stop. Anybody? That's it, right? Okay, I may even be off by a tick, but I'm really, really close. Now, if you see over here, notice that you haven't taken out this low here, so this is not established. Everybody see that? The established on this is like a primary. This is more of like a, well, this is primary and this is secondary on a short. Okay, this is your primary, but when I see a swing like this where I have a, you know, a low, a high, a lower low, lower high, you know, they do like an ABC, I always look at just a little bit stronger swing as my real swing. Okay, then you want to draw a line at your primary also. So if you do get lower highs than this primary over here, you're more than likely going to head down. Okay. So when you're looking at Lightning 2, you're, like I said, you're basically looking at 2 bars down, 2 bars up. Let me show you Lightning 1 to show you the same thing. Do Lightning 1 is the Alt key, left mouse, and there's your Lightning 1 right there. Okay. Now notice that draws pretty much the same thing, except it's doing a little bit more zigzaggy because it actually uses literally like 1 bar up, 1 bar down type of a setup for Lightning 1. Okay. So let's say, for instance, you had shorted here, to give an example. Okay. That you had seen over here, there was a swing and it kissed it. See it right there? It kissed it and rolled over. So where could you put your stop on that? Well, an aggressive stop would be right there, and a little bit more conservative would be right there. And usually fade it back just a little bit, a couple of ticks. And I usually like to let my bar even close, okay, with Object Trader. But you'd have already gotten a scalp, so you'd probably tighten your stop. That would be your initial stop, by the way. Would it be safe to assume, if you're not sure of exact swing, stay with the Lightning 3? Well, Lewis, as a matter of fact, on your question there, if a person would learn to stick with Lightning 3, you'll do quite well in your trading. Because, you know, a lot of times when it's Lightning 1 or Lightning 2, you've got to really look at how the market's moving around, to give an example. You got to see where those swings are. I just showed them, you know, when I drew it without all these prices on here, because that's a real chart. You know, this gold chart here, that's a real chart. It's showing where the price swings are. Okay. So let's look and see, using our Viper tools, if we can actually get into a trade on gold. All right, so we have a high here that we can't go above. So basically, we already know we're going to put a stop here, right? That's your swing. Because if it's going to head down, it's not going to take that out. What's the definition of a downtrend? Lower highs, lower lows, right? So if it takes out this high, is that going to be a lower high? No. No, as a matter of fact, you'd be looking more for trend change. If it took this out, came back and rested on mid-band and then took off, you know, you'd be starting to get a series of higher lows and higher highs then. But so far, isn't that your high, your low here, your high, and your lower low? So right off the bat, I know that I'd be putting my stop right here for the time being. I know that I'm meeting my minimum criteria. So if it does close below line 2, I'll go ahead and fire a short. Okay. Now keep in mind that if I do fire that short, that I still have to put my stop where I said I was going to put my stop. Okay. And they're going to fake you on those a lot of times. So you got to be careful. Now, another way to do it is to wait for a little consolidation patch, but they don't always give it to you. Let's start it up, and y'all tell me where you want to take the trade. Let's see if we can actually, I'll run it at about 10 times normal speed. We'll see if we can catch it. We'll go ahead and do a region. But we don't have a region set yet. We're just simply putting it on the chart. We're not activating it. Okay, so we got a swing over here. We got a swing here, but it's not identified because they never took out the low. So you couldn't put your stop here, right? Okay, let's see if we can get a little consolidation patch. That's looking pretty good. Now, if that was actually to go back inside that region, I would probably take the trade. See how it got a lower high just then? Now, this bar hadn't closed yet, so what I'm doing is I'm using a short inside, touch +2, and that would also be breaking my line 2, which is our minimum criteria for a trade. Now, if we go ahead and take this out, we'll be looking at another way for this trade. There's another way you can do it too. Just simply wait for the power meter to turn back to the red side, which it would do if you happen to break this swing, if we don't take this swing out. Let's just see what power meter will do. Watch the power meter and see. Now, I'd probably have already clicked it, but let's just do it a little bit more conservatively. You got a little consolidation patch now, don't you? We could even short it at the top if we wanted to. We can't put our stop here, though. Now, if it gets within 2 ticks of this top of this region, it will also fire it. And by the way, I can actually even move this region while it's actually not activated just yet, exactly where I want it. Let's see if we can get one of these. Let's see where our previous swing is. I want a lower high, so I'm going to try to get it before it takes that high out. Let's see if we can get something. Now, let me tell you what the conservative trade would be on here, because I see this also already. If you don't want to start getting faked into trades, when you get faked into these trades is when they barely break these support levels and then pull right back in your face. So everybody that has been to these webinars that I teach and Charles teaches, quite often you're going to find that if you wait for the little break, a little pullback, that should have fired on my trade, I think. If it doesn't, I'm going to fire it manually. Should have fired on my region. There we go, it did. Okay, just had to wait for that third tick. All right, but see what you can wait for. Notice that you have like a little consolidation patch right here. Let me just take this region off and show it to you. All right, you got a little consolidation patch right here, like so. So what do you think they'll probably do? They'll check resistance before they flop this thing down. See them check it? See them check resistance? So that's a safer trade, but you don't always get that because a lot of times they will just break out of the box and never give you another chance at the trade. Okay, and then you have to kind of chase them. So sometimes what you might want to do is just, box it in, for instance, and then, you can clearly see you were getting lower highs here. See how we were looking for a lower high? You have a high here, and a high here. They're lower, so they're definitely heading down. And that's one way to use the Viper tools on that. Now, another way, did you notice this little power meter went red? You could have actually taken the trade when it went red too. What about a stealth? Well, you can turn on stealth on a short, and it doesn't use these T and B buttons. That will add one if I get a red stealth. Of course, you'd want to put one target right here, I'll bet. We'll just take it manually if it does. If we get a red stealth, it'll add one. That's how you use these Viper tools, like in real time. A lot of times when I trade gold, to give an example, I'll do 1 or 2 and then like add one and then put a tighter stop. For instance, right now, you could go ahead and put your stop right across here because you know that it's basically a lightning type of setup. So you haven't closed below here, so this is not your lightning just yet here, but it is here. Everybody see that? And we're just flat on this thing so far, aren't we? That's what we get for trading at 2 o'clock in the morning. Checking resistance again. See if it'll take it down or what it's going to do. Anybody ever get worried when you're down like $100 or something like that? Well, if you do 2 contracts, you can be down $100 pretty easily. That's only 5 ticks. But you do have to actually make sure that, if you put a nice tight stop on it, for instance, you're not going to lose very much if that trade goes against you. And I like to watch lightning myself because you can clearly see lightning on this chart. I'll draw it from up here. And we'll see. We'll draw it from down here even. Okay, see the lightning right there, that blue? We don't expect it to take that out. Okay, but we got to break this swing before we can put our stop here. That's utilizing your tools the way they were designed. Okay. This is really, really slow. Let's see if we can get something. Breaking a little bit. There we go. All right, now notice Oh, wow, good little pop. Notice what happened on here is that your swing is right here at 1200.2, but that's way too high up to put your stop. Okay, but that is the place that you would want to put it if you want to ride a trade for a real gusto trade. Okay, now usually when I see it shotgun down like that, I'll usually go ahead and watch the bar, and if that bar closes above that swing or this goes green, I'll take 2 off. Simply turn on my power meter, and if it goes green, we'll take 2 off. If it doesn't go green, we'll leave them on. Okay, see, it's trying to go green. We'll see if it does. Now notice that our stealth went red, so it did add that third contract too. Okay. We've designed some really good tools for people to use because, when we say to box in a trade or to, wait for the little thrust and retrace. Now keep in mind that you're looking at 3 trends on your chart though. So a thrust and retrace on a Lightning 3 is going to be a little larger thrust and retrace than it will be on a Lightning 2 or Lightning 1. But it's the same principle. You're looking at swings. Okay. Now, by the way, if you were just a type of trader that said, you know what, that's a pretty good little day. I've only got 3 contracts on, so it costs you maybe $10 in trades. You could always just click the close button too. But I found that if you just click the close button, you'll miss out on some trades that can really move. So you don't really want to get in the habit of doing that. Now you can go ahead and get out of, a contract or even 2, because this is looking like it's going to retrace before it actually goes down some. But we'll see. We'll see what it does. Now, does anybody see the next trade on the chart? If you weren't even, well, let's say you just woke up. It's 2:40 in the morning, and you're sleepy-eyed and everything. But do you see the next trade on the chart? Anybody? Because you need to really train your eye to see it. Look at your little, see, that's gold. Let's look at it here. And you tell me where the next trade is on this chart. I like to look to the left to trade the right. I see a swing right across here too. So basically this is a little sweet spot right here. And also if it does break up a little higher, right in through here. Everybody see that? Okay. It broke support, so it should check it as resistance. Okay, so if you weren't even in anything, let's look at our tools and see, let's just take the profit, and then we're going to go ahead and go back in only if it comes, we like retrace trades, right? Now watch it drop 100 ticks, but that's okay. If it does, it does. It may drop some. It looks like it wants to. But I'm going to show you how to retrace trade instead of getting caught with, these monster thrusts, and then you always get in at the very end of it. Doesn't that just irritate you? Nothing worse than hitting the short button and getting in on the end of a good trade. Because then what'll happen is you'll let it go back against you, and it could actually be a full-fledged trend change. Let's see if we can get something. Okay, here we go. See how it just barely took out the low. Now you've got a swing right across here. Okay, they haven't checked here. They haven't checked here. I like to draw lines on my chart. So this is actually a little sweet spot to me. So what I'd probably do in a case like this is you could do it one of 2 different ways, really. You could do it on a lightning break. You could do it on a stealth break. Or you could even do it on a box break. Okay, so let's see which one do y'all want to do using the Viper tools. I say a trade is right in this area right here between those 2 lines, and I would probably even fade the box just a little bit because they don't always hit the support level that they broke. So what you can actually do is put your region on there. Bring it up to where you think it's going to fire. I'd do a short out touch plus like 2. Let's see if we can get it. Because looking at our chart, we can clearly see that that is resistance right there, right? Got our little boxes drawn. Let's see if it does. I'll just do it on this chart and let's see if it does, because you know it'll trigger if it does. Let's see if it does. Now you won't see this move as quickly because this is lightning, so it's got to actually draw the little swings, but it is actually moving the chart. Everybody see that? Did that trigger that trade right there? It came within 2 ticks of the bottom of my box. And by the way, I could go ahead and turn it on and even add one if it happens to go back up there again, because it hasn't really hit my resistance level yet. I faded it just a little bit. Okay. Now, if you were going to box it instead with our tools, where would you box it? Anybody? Where would you box it? Well, couldn't you wait for it to break this little swing right here that it's already identifying? Let's see if it does. I got us our 3rd one. No 4th one because we didn't add a 4th. There, it just broke your box. Stop would be right above the swing. And see how easy that was to do? Now, if that would have been a trend change, then it would have taken us a stop, right? But what did we expect for that trade to do, and what did the trade actually do? Well, we were looking at our little lightning chart here. And see how it came right into that sweet spot that we knew ahead of time? So couldn't we be ready to take that trade just by simply walking in and looking at our charts? Because when they break these lightning threes, they'll usually go back. Now notice that it didn't kiss it exactly. See there? It kissed this one, it looks like. See there? Remember we had 2 drawn on our trading chart, but even this one, see how it checked the one on the left? It didn't quite get up to this one. That's a lightning 3 swing. Okay, and then notice how it rolled over at that point. Let's see if we can just watch it and see. Anybody want to see if you can pick the next one? Let's say you just got up at, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning. Let's look at a chart. And let me see if everybody can pick the trade. I'm just going to kill this. Let's just pretend that all I care about is, well, let's leave it for our stop. We'll see what it does. Probably put one of my stops or my targets right in here if it hits it. That's good enough to get rid of one. Well, don't even have to, do you? That's a pretty good trade, isn't it? Put your stop right there at that swing. And you hit all your targets. Now, let me ask you a question. Looking at this chart, where's our next trade? Anybody? Now, if you're gutsy, and let's say that you got up at 7:20 and you said, you know what, if it breaks this little swing here, I'm going to go ahead and just take it. Okay? But if it goes against me at all, I'm probably going to get out. You see what I'm getting at? I'm basically doing like a touch plus 2 if it breaks that little swing there. Could I actually try to short one? Well, the answer is yes. But what you want to do in a case like that is, if you get in the habit of waiting for this where it does at least the minor retracement, you'll probably do a lot better. Okay? And we got that set for touch plus 2, so it hadn't fired just yet. We're trying to sell a thrust is what we're trying to do. But I'll put a very, very tight stop if it does. Because this looks like it's not even checking line 2. See it? It's not breaking it. And when it doesn't break it, could you actually say, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance on that? Yes, you can. But don't get in the habit of doing that, because a lot of times, that's going to reverse on you, fairly quickly. It'll go back and check this swing here instead, and you're going to feel a little bit of heat. Let's see if we do, just for the fun of it. Let's see if it goes back to my line or not. Nope. See, that one was okay. See, I chased it. But I chased it, with literally a very tight stop. I wouldn't have even let it go back to the top of the box. Okay? So what does everybody think about, more than likely, using the Viper tools and trading like this? Because it does work. Okay? Now notice the way gold's breaking down right now. They're not even coming back to any of these minor settings at all. None. So let's look at our chart, and let's say you're conservative. Let's look and see where we would expect to take a trade. I'm going to get rid of Lightning 1. And we're going to just draw on our chart. All right, so we have resistance here, and we have resistance here. Okay, let's draw our lightning again. Okay, now this is a huge, huge, huge thrust down, isn't it? Is that going to go all the way back to 1196.40? No. No. With a breakdown like that, you can just almost count on it. Matter of fact, I'd just draw a trend line on it and probably get out of the short trade that I would have stayed in. Because the way you can stay in a short trade is obviously to watch these swings. And if the swings aren't taken out, you could stay with that trade. How long did that stay? Let's just find out. Took out the micro, still heading down. Stop would be right across there if you were still in it. Let's just watch it and see what it did. Another break. Stop would be there. Stop would be there. Stopped out, right? Now keep in mind, this is actually moving this lightning. Now let's look and see. Would you be long on this trade yet? Anybody? With that kind of a downtrend, would you be long? Let's look at the actual chart and see. No, you would have taken a phantom trade, right? Everybody see the phantom trade right there? Is that a beautiful phantom trade? Now keep in mind, if you're going to take a phantom trade, you've got to take it, when it presents itself. And on a phantom, you're looking for a line 6. After a trend change, see, it went from long to short. Line 6 rollover. Definitely ratcheted down. Line 6 rollover. Okay, and your target would be where? If you would have taken this trade right here with our Viper tools, where would your target be on this? I like to draw my lightning on my charts, and I got support right across here. And I've got support right across here. If they don't take this out, we could very possibly even trend change back to the upside, because that was a pretty good little retrace. But if you shorted line 6 on that, where would you take your profit? Anybody? You want to see if we drew it right? Now we're not in it, but let's just see if we can draw on our charts correctly. Little on the sideways side. Oh, you got a green background now. So what are we looking for now, everyone? Anybody? Well, truthfully, you could still be looking for a short if you happen to take out the lightning swing, right? Because this is still a huge move down. Matter of fact, I think we diagnosed this one this morning with a fib, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did. But Lewis, on your question from earlier, if you get kind of hinky about taking like when they change green background, you know what you're really looking for. If this is going to really head up, let me show you what will happen. Let me show you what will happen. You basically busted resistance right across here, right? Like so. Now I would expect this, if this is going to head up, we need a good thrust. We need a pullback. And by that time, it should be at midband. Okay, if this midband comes up. But if this was to actually break this lightning right here, could you actually short this trade? And the answer is actually, you actually can. But you got to just be careful with it, okay? Because right now, I see a little long trade setting up on what I call a minimum criteria. Let's just take one, just for the fun of it. That just hit support. Look to the left to trade the right. Not a whole lot of swings unless they go all the way up here. And let's see if this little trade works out. I'll fast forward it. Now I'd probably put a fairly tight stop on this, but I've got to at least give it a little bit of wiggle room, like down to this little swing right here. And I'd put my stop pretty tight just in case. And there's another trade that worked out. I like to usually put my stop on my last one with power meter. Now we missed power meter 1. Oh, we flattened. Good, we got it. Now, if this was to decide not to go up, what would you be looking for? Anybody? A break of support? Now, this is a green background right now, but this is a huge move down too. What would you be looking for on this particular chart that we're looking at? Tell you what some of our people look at. They look at this little tool right here called Stealth. And we'll do it either way. If it goes green, we'll take it green, and if it goes short, we'll take it short. See, we don't even have a stealth right now. We did get a power meter red. And always do one other thing too. Make sure that you know where you're heading as far as your overall. Because this is nothing but a deep retracement so far, seeing we actually got the trade based on stealth. Okay, where would our target be? We'd put a runner out of the way. We'd put a target, just in case this decides to bounce at Phantom, would put a target down there at Phantom. Does anybody remember this call in the room this morning where we talked about what gold did? It broke down and it retraced right back to resistance. Now, I don't remember if gold actually went ahead and went down after this, but you put a nice tight stop on this just in case. And I'd probably put my stop just above that swing, like so, with exit on close. Okay? Now notice how I've actually utilized stealth. I've utilized PM, which is your power meters. I've utilized the box. The only thing we really haven't done is the predictors. It looks like that is still heading down. You'd probably want to put your stop. If it takes out this swing, you can put it here or here even, or just turn on power meter, just in case it decides to take you out. Because this is a little risky because it did turn green. But keep in mind that when they do like an ABC Gartley type thing, but they've had a huge move down, this is probably just a retracement from a huge move to the downside. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure we did this with it this morning. It never even came close to 38%, did it? Not yet, anyway. Let's see if it came to this one. Yeah, it came to that one's 38%, but not the big move. Okay, now if you're going to take a phantom trade, like a line one type trade, you'd literally already want to be in it, at line one. But if you're short under mid-band, you're probably not going to take the phantom trade. And keep in mind, you can also wait to take the phantom trade until it actually starts stair-stepping back up. And I like to look at my swings to see where it's going. For instance, you have a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So basically, I would want it to more than likely break that swing to be heading up, or at least this one right here, like so. And if it doesn't, then you wouldn't want to be taken along. Those red stealths can make a big difference in, how you do in your trading. And if you look to the left to trade the right, you'll see actually that they broke. Let's look at it on the other chart. See gold right there. Let's draw it from, get rid of all of this. And we'll draw it from here. Okay, so you have a swing right across here to the left, then you got this huge swing up here. So this is what it would take to change trends to me. If it was to break that and pull back and kiss, or even if it breaks this and pulls back and kisses, that more than likely would be around mid-band. So I'd probably look at that also. But if this continues to break, you'd want to take some coin down here. Let's see what it did. Now, we were already closed by now, so we don't know what it did, but let's see what it did. Still heading down. Whoa, look at that. Now, what do you think's happening on gold right there as we speak? What's happening with that huge move just like that right there? Is it stair-stepping up? Anybody? Let's look at our chart. Oh, yeah. So let me ask you a quick question on this one then. Where's your trade on this particular chart? Let's draw it and see if we can get it. All right, predictor says our trade is here. I say our trade is either here or here. That's a swing, thrust, retrace, thrust. So that's a little swing there if you draw your lightning. Okay, and if they break this, they'll probably go down and check more of a medium swing. So I would say my trade is pretty much right in this area right here. And let's see if it is. Because remember, if you miss a thrust, what are we waiting for, everyone? We're waiting for a pullback, right? I'm not even going to worry about taking the trade. Let's just see if it does what I think it'll do. Got to wait for the retrace. Look at that. Look to the left to trade the right can make a big difference in your trading. Now, what if you're a conservative trader? Okay. Power meters are red. Where would the swing be that would break to the upside if it started deciding to stair step up? Well, right now it's right there at 1189.40. Okay. Let's turn on power meter and see if we can get something. Now, if this just breaks down, we're not going to get anything. Mid-band thrust retrace trades are great, aren't they? There's your low, right at mid-band. Okay, there's a low candle. If it takes this out, it'll change the power meter. Not yet though, right? Now if it takes this out, it'll change the power meter. If it closes, it'll change it. And see, that'll fire automatically on the green power meter. There you go. Now that's a little bit more conservative trade, but if you do that conservative trade, you're going to have to put your stop just under that swing. And they'll usually check it. See how they're checking it? If we get a higher low, we're going to be okay. That's a higher low. Got to trust your swings though. If you don't trust your swings, you will never ever be able to stay in trades. Because how many times have you taken a little breakout trade and it's come right back in your face in a heartbeat? They always do, don't they? Continually, right? Let's see if we can get a minimum criteria on this. Let's say that you didn't get in a trade. Now, I want to show you something too, though. What if you just said, you know what? I didn't trust. This was a little risky for me. What if it takes out this swing? Could you fire it if it does? Let's see if it does. That's a beautiful mid-band kiss, by the way. Tell you what, if you look to the left to trade the right, you'll know. You know, for instance, if you were getting in this trade right here, your stop would be here, right? Your target would be here, here, and here. See these little swings? So, in other words, if I get this fired, I'm expecting it to at least go here, and that's not much of a scalp. It's above my swing. I'm going to go ahead and take it. It's just a tick, but it's above it. Put my stop. Exit on close. Target would be here, and run a runner. Look to the left to trade the right. You got to swing across here. Let's get rid of these lines and I'll put them back on. You got to swing across here. You got to swing across here. And you got a top that they've already established right there. Let's see what they actually do. Now keep in mind this is getting awful close to the end of the day, so I'm not sure exactly what it's going to do, but let's just see if we can stay in that trade. I'll just fast forward it to like 500 and see. There you go. There you go. All right, tighten your stop for your runner. Watch your lightning for your micro swings. If it goes on up, your micro swing is right there. Exit on close. And we'll try to get up to here, but keep in mind that it's heading there. Tighten your stop. See the swing? Stops us out, it stops us out. I don't care. That's the anatomy of a decent trade. Everybody see how we did that? Okay. Now this is all the way to the bell right here. Actually, this is even at 5 o'clock. So this is when the market opened back up. Let's see what it did. I've got a little bit more data on it. Let's see if it stops us out. No, it already paused it. We're out of data. Does anybody know if it went higher? Just curious. Did it stop us out? So what's the rule of thumb from now on, everyone? You want to wait for a thrust and a retrace, okay? You want to make sure that you get into trades only if they hit at least the minimum criteria, or if you're going to chase them, you got to get out of them quickly. Okay, like I was showing over here, for instance, when this thing dropped like a stone. Let's just kill this trade. But when this started dropping like a stone, notice that it never hit that minimum criteria until here, and then it never triggered. So this never gave you an opportunity to get in, and that was another 50 ticks. So, you know, we have talked about it before that, you know, if you want a really a little bit more risky trade, then see if it'll at least tag line 2 on a short, you know, but see it didn't close above line 2 in stealth. That minimum criteria to me would have been right there at that predictor. If I would have woken up and said, you know what, I want that to at least pull back to that line because the predictor says it should. And it never did. So would you go ahead and fire a trade anyway? Well, again, if you do, just don't let it go back against you with at least lightning 1. Okay? And the way to tell when they're changing trends, obviously, is when you start getting higher lows and higher highs, right? This actually was trying to change trends even here. Higher high, higher low, higher high. But when you boxed it in, it never triggered, right? This one did trigger. Everybody see that? That's not a secret as far as that goes, but that's the secret to, for instance, let's say that you were looking here and you said, okay, if this actually breaks above resistance, like right here where my lightning is to the left, then that would be a conservative trade. And see, it never fired it. It never even changed lightning to green. Okay. This one did over here, though. See how it thrust up, retraced, right into mid-band? So we didn't even box this, by the way. We took a little bit more conservative trade. Instead of boxing it like this, we actually took the breakout above the swing, but we had to put our stop here. Just always keep in mind, when they break a swing, they're going to come back and check support. If they get a higher low, they're going to continue heading up. And that is the absolute best way to trade these swings like this. Because, let's go over this anatomy one more time here. If you're going to take a more conservative trade, and you've seen that this has happened in real time, and you box it in, okay, and even if you boxed it in here, you're going to have to put your stop under here. Everybody see that? And that's risking some on gold, because if you had like 2 contracts, that's a good, say, 15-tick pullback. So as close as you can get into mid-band, the better off you are. Or a lot of times you can wait for it to break a resistance level and pull back, and if you get a higher low, then jump in. Okay, but you don't know that. That's more hindsight right there, right? But you did definitely break your swings, and you broke this trend line too. See your little trend line across there? But even trend lines will fake you. Had to put your stop there. But it was a monster move up too, wasn't it? Everybody see how to use the tools? If you utilize the power meter to get out of your trades, this thing goes all the way over here to the side. The region for boxing, right? The power meter for getting out of trades, power meter 1 and 2. And your stealth. A lot of our traders love the stealth. For instance, like right here, would you short this yet? And the answer is really no. But over here to the left, when it actually did the same thing, at the time, it's just like that, right? But it started breaking down, and you could have boxed it below mid-band, and you did get a decent trade. Okay? Because they won't always, if they would do this, where they'd break down and come back every single time and kiss resistance, all of us would be billionaires. But you can still see what's going on your charts. When you get these retracements, they're usually like A, B, C's, and then they roll over. When did this actually truly change trends? Anybody? Well, technically, it didn't change trends until you got a low, a high, a higher low, and then started breaking up off of that mid-band. Okay? But if you're more of a conservative trader, it didn't really break the swing until you took this out. But we're not that late on trades. We draw trend lines and things like that, and use power meters. That's why the Viper tools, I think, are really important. And by the way, just to let you know, we're going to be actually working on Ninja 8 instead of 7 on some of these new trades. And one of the reasons for that is because even Ninja Trader has been pretty much, putting this particular Ninja on the back burner. Even when they talk to our people on support, they're pretty much saying, Ninja 7's old stuff. Okay? So we're going to have some really, really good trades in Ninja 8 as soon as we get that built. Let's see, Lewis, did you ask a question? When we make a move in a trade when power meter 1 changes from red to green or vice versa, what is the significance of the other meters and its colors? Well, keep in mind that, your overall trend is this one here. That's your lightning 3. These are just a little bit more insignificant. This is just retraces. To give an example, power meter 1 at this very moment is actually red because it did this. Right up here you had a break of a swing right here. When it broke that with the close of a bar, that went red. That doesn't mean it's a short though. But if you were using this to get in a trade, you just wait for it to turn green again. Or you could use the wedge trader and draw a trend line or something like that. Where is the trade on this chart next? Anybody? What do you think? It's already checked there. That was resistance, it rolled. It was support and it came back and kissed it. So where do you think the next trade is on this chart? Anybody? Got a swing right across here that you cannot take out if they're going to head up. So where's the trade? Right in this area right here. Everybody see that? Now we don't know if it's going to get there just yet, but isn't that where we would be looking for a trade? That's exactly where you'd be looking for that trade. Because what's the definition of an uptrend? Well, you've got highs, lows, higher highs, right? So on the left side of the chart, I've got lightning 2 that says my swing is right here at my line. So if I'm going to head up, I cannot take that swing out. Because if I do, then I'm no longer heading up. I'm heading more like a phantom trade or something. But just mark that little box and see if it doesn't pull back into it later on and get you a little pop out. And keep in mind too that when they do come down like to mid-band, that you are looking for these type of trades. You know, this is definitely an uptrend, right? Now, if you look to the left, it's definitely a big downtrend until it takes this swing out. But we don't really look for that large of moves. We look more for these type of moves. Thrust, retrace, box, boom. Thrust again, retrace, box, boom. That's what we're looking for. Okay, will it come this low? Well, you got a double top, so they'll probably take this out at least. They could easily bounce off of 90, 90. And what criteria would that one be? Anybody? That would be your minimum criteria, which is a break of stealth with a close of a bar and a break of line 6 with a close of a bar. And you would be looking for a bounce off of this line if you get the minimum criteria trade. If you get more of the medium criteria, it's going to be down in here. Everybody see that? So here's 2 trades for you right here. If it bounces off of here and pops back above line 6, it'll head up. If it breaks this at all and heads down, it's going to come in this little area here. If it breaks here and heads down, then you could be looking for a break. There's your medium swing. This is more of a secondary swing. This is medium. This could still be an uptrend, even if it comes all the way to phantom, as long as it doesn't take that swing out. See how that phantom could turn into this? But couldn't you actually, if this decides to break, you know, the left-hand support, yeah, you could actually short that down to phantom too. Okay, but you don't know that yet because it hasn't even come down here yet. We don't know where it's at. Okay, but those are sweet spots to be looking for the trade. All right, did everybody get everything out of this? Anybody have any questions before we wrap? Let's see, Lewis, also, if all power meters are green, would you still look to go short if overall trend is short? Well, all power meters wouldn't be green if that was the case. See, if lightning 3 is green, then that actually means we're on gold, right? That actually means that you're getting higher lows and higher highs, right? I mean, if you draw lightning 3, you'll see it. So you have a high, a low, and a higher high. Now, this hadn't drawn yet because it hasn't gotten the criteria to do it yet. But if you just do it in your mind, you can still see it. See there? So where is your low on this chart? It's right there. Where's your trade on this chart more than likely? Probably right in this area right here. See what I mean? And if you go back to your charts, you'll see them right there. It went to 94.7 from here and came retraced down to 92.6. It can do that too. That's the one thing about it. Now, keep in mind, if gold, for instance, is to go ahead and head up, you're pretty much going to bounce off of that area that's down there around that midband, right? Let's just see. In the morning, I'll leave this chart up, or at least look back at 1704 my time, and see if it bounced in this area right here. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And just remember to use the tools. You know, the whole idea of designing these tools was so that we could all use them. And when we get into Ninja 8, I am going to make it to where you can fire line trades based on certain criteria and based on real trailing stops. So for instance, if you wanted a line 4 trade, okay, and put a stop like, I don't know, below line 5 or line 3 or line 2, you'll be able to automatically do that. Or to even have it, if it starts stair-stepping down instead, to get out of the trade. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye, everyone.